Who makes a good toasty maker, aside from Breville?
Why am I dishevelled, but never shevelled?
You know, we try and keep this show as a refuge from the travails of the world. So I just feel I should say right up top, content warning, clowns. I know, they're not for everybody. Matt has been in touch to say, Helen, you can't casually drop the sentence, like that library of clown makeup where it's all on an egg, into a podcast and not elaborate further. So please elaborate further.
Have you not heard of the Clown Egg Registry, which started in 1946? It's a library of clown makeup where a clown's unique face is painted onto originally an egg shell, and now they use ceramic eggs because they're a bit more stable.
I was going to say, famously prone to breakage, eggs.
Yeah, but quite useful for recording the contours of a face because it is three-dimensional. And it's sort of like a copyright library almost because it was considered bad form to use another clown's look. Obviously, duplication can happen by accident, and you can still do it. You can go to clownsinternational.com/egg-registry, and for a year membership and 2 eggs, one for the library and one for you, it's £60 plus shipping.
Clowns International. There's something inherently funny about the idea of any kind of authority for clowns. Like, they're such sort of instinctive disruptors. It seems odd they'd have a union.
I don't know, maybe that's what they need to keep things anarchic in the right context.
When it's business, it's all business.
And there's one person at a time who does all of the clowns. I think the current artist's been doing it for about 10 years.
Is it like voodoo dolls? If you smash one on the floor, does the real clown die?
Oh, God. I haven't tested.
That's what happened to Grimaldi. Someone made an omelette.
Oh. Actually, how did Grimaldi die? It might have been something. I mean, he'd be dead by now anyway.
Oh, yeah. I've done a podcast about him before. It was something Victorian and morbid, but, you know, it was the era. He had a horrible life, actually.
Yeah.
Like the cliche, like Tears of a Clown, basically comes from him. Terrible life. Child star, alcoholic. But I bet he had a great egg.
Grimaldi and his wife had a suicide pact, but when they poisoned themselves, they just got stomach cramps and didn't die.
There you are. Don't trust a clown to get it done. That's what I'm saying. Oh. That's exactly it. That's why they need the union.
Apropos of other deathly entertainment that we've been talking about recently, Jordan from South Wales writes, I think the butler did it thing is from the game Cluedo, is it not?
No, because the butler isn't a potential suspect, Jordan. The original characters are scarlet, mustard, white, green, peacock, plum. A butler has been added in certain spin-offs of Cluedo, like the film and the video game, but he's not really canon. So no, it doesn't come from that.
I think also the phrase predates the game, right?
It is a really fun story, the origin of Cluedo.
Yeah? Tell me more, tell me more.
The inventor was a piano player.
Tell me more, tell me more.
He used to like murder mystery evenings.
I bet you'd have to.
Then he had a good idea. And his wife was a visual artist.
Oh, handy.
And then what happened is after he'd had the idea of being like a piano player in a hotel bar, seeing murder mystery evenings and thinking, game, World War II happened. And he was too old to fight. He was at home with his wife a lot. He created the gaming concept. She created the visual concept. Basically spent their evenings during World War, like during the Blitz when they couldn't leave the house, brainstorming Cluedo, which is why it's such a carefully finessed game, because they had loads of time every evening to do. The choices were, sit and listen to the wireless or design a board game. And they did that for ages. And weirdly, their neighbours were Jeffrey Ball and his wife, Jeffrey Ball, this guy who invented Buccaneer.
What?
So he had the professional game tester on hand to come and like iron out the creases. And then Ball said to Pratt, amazing noun-based names, aren't they? Ball said to Pratt, come and meet Waddingtons. I've got a contact. I reckon they're going to greenlight it. And they did.
Gosh.
That's how Cluedo happened. Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's a very productive use of the Blitz.
Almost makes it worth it, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
One of the weapons that you could play with in the original, which was called Murder, ! It was Waddington's that came up with the name Cluedo, was a bomb. The weapons included a poison syringe and a bomb.
It'd be pretty fucking obvious if it was a bomb that killed the...
Yes, yeah.
The suspect has half a torso. I wonder what weapon was...
yeah.
Are they just trying to take out every character in one go?
I think choosing the room would be fairly straightforward as well, wouldn't it? Was it the library that's been completely devastated? Yes, it was the library. Ben from Geneva has been in touch as well. He says, I live in Geneva and went to the Winter Olympics in Milan, about 2 hours away on the train. Mm-hmm. I was going with a Canadian friend, so we chose ice hockey.
Yes, obligatory.
I guess you can relate to this now. Have you become hockey fans?
No, I'm fine.
Do you have to have a limited amount of hockey chat just to get through conversation like you do football here, though? Is that like the status?
Actually, I'd say that people are a lot less inclined to force their favourite sport on you than Brits who like football are.
Uh-huh.
I haven't had to have hockey chat that I didn't want to have. And also we have been watching curling, which is a big Canadian sport.
Well, okay, so park that thought because it's relevant. Ben from Geneva went to see the ice hockey with his Canadian friend and says, and we watched a wildly entertaining match in the almost finished new arena. I'm glad you said that because I remember the London 2012 park was never finished, clearly.
Was it not?
It didn't look tested. Do you know what I mean? It looked like they just kind of hand-painted the last bit, but you're like, this shouldn't end here. Where's the bin? Stuff like that. Anyway, Ben continues. In between the periods... That would be the periods of the hockey play.
Right.
Instead of any sort of show, we watched on as large stout trucks, Zambonis,
that's right,
made the ice look lovely and fresh.
Yeah.
I just said stout trucks in a weird way, like they distribute stout the beer, but he just means large trucks.
That's what the ice is made out of.
Yeah.
It's just a slush of Guinness heads.
So, Helen, answer me this. What does the Zamboni actually do? People also came on to shovel the ice. Is the Zamboni doing something different? And also, why rear axle steering?
Well, the rear axle steering, as far as I can glean, and bear in mind that about 30 seconds of reading how vehicles actually work makes my brain go, bzz, 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 no, is because ice is slippery, as you may know, Ben. And that means the vehicles sort of slide around on it less. And also, like, the tyres at the back don't lift off.
Yeah, you don't get drift behind you, so you can kind of see what's happening in front of you. That kind of makes sense.
Car chat, no.
But the visibility is appalling. Like, regardless of drifting, like if you're sitting at the back and you've got a big, enormous hood in front of you, you can't see what's going on under the... It must be difficult to drive.
Yeah, well, the driver is driving behind a big tank. That's why the front of a Zamboni is so big. What Zambonis are doing is shaving the top layer of ice off the rink. Then they suck it into that tank. And then they squirt a layer of water onto the ice to clean it. They suck that back up. And then they squirt another layer of water, a clean layer of water, to make a new top layer. It usually melts the ice that is still there. And then it refreezes smooth. And the breaks in ice hockey games are usually just long enough for that whole process to happen. But they can't really have a show because the Zamboni needs to go over the rink. And the reason why it's doing this is because the rink gets all rutted from the skate blades. And the shovelers go out ahead of the Zamboni to pick up the ice scrapings that have occurred during the game. It's basically like a snow that is generated by the blades, and that can disrupt where the puck is going. It can get flicked into the players' faces, and it can gather quite significantly at the edges. So the shovelers have like 90 seconds to get all of that out of the way, and then the Zamboni can do its job. And I never thought about this before, but it makes sense now that I've read it. The whiteness of the rink isn't just the colour of ice, it's a layer of white paint that is somewhere between the bottom layers and the top layers of the ice.
Oh, right, yeah. So like a sellotape roll. So it looks like the colour of the cardboard at the bottom. You mentioned curling.
Yes.
I parked it. Let's return to it.
Yes.
I was watching the curling.
Different kind of ice, Ollie.
Right.
Curling's got a bobbly ice.
So they have to wear special shoes that look almost like orthopedic shoes.
Yeah.
Do you know the ones I mean? They look like they're made by Clarks.
It looks a bit like the Book of Mormon on ice, doesn't it? That's the vibe.
Exactly. They really do look kind of like they've done something deliberately sort of spare. You know, when you compare it to Premiership footballers whose shoes now are like fluorescent orange and pink with green laces and stuff. I was just kind of looking at it thinking, and the answer is, I suppose, because it's not worth Adidas developing a curling shoe, is it? Because not enough people do curling. That's the reason.
They don't have to be orthopedic looking. They just do tend to be. But they have like different soles. You can adapt just your own shoes with some gaffer tape to make it smooth to glide. But I was really disappointed in the British curling team's outfits. They were the most boring corporate looking t-shirts.
They were corporate away day. They were. Yeah.
Come on, these people are in the Olympics. Give them something better to wear. They deserve it.
No, you're right. It was Rishi Sunak playing tennis at the weekend was the look, wasn't it?
Ugh.
Molly, age 14 weeks and 6 days,
Gosh,
has allegedly written in.
Fact checker on aisle 3.
She says, I've been listening to lots of nursery rhymes recently. particularly when my mum is trying to get me to nap. So Helen, answer me this. Who is Wee Willie Winkie? Is he based on a real person, and why does he tell the children to go to bed?
Well, why does he tell the children to go to bed? Is because kids' poetry is usually about getting children to do things like not be naughty or shut up or go to bed. But Wee Willie Winkie is not only a child running through the town, supposedly exhorting children to go to bed. He is the sleepless child who refuses to go to bed.
Okay, just as a reminder for people, I have here a copy of Nursery Rhymes.
Lovely.
A collection of over 100 favourites. And I read this with my kids tonight in preparation.
Did they like it?
They were a bit foxed by any of the historical ones. They're a bit like, what? But I'll just read it for people who don't remember it.
Okay.
Wee Willie Winkie runs through the town, upstairs and downstairs in his nightgown, rapping at the window, crying through the lock. Are the children all in bed? It's past 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock? It used to be 10 o'clock.
Oh, really?
That's shrinkflation.
I read it and I, like a lot of these, I'm like, I sort of get the gist. I get it's Scottish. I get that it's a kid in the street. I get that he's doing some sort of come and play with me kids thing. But what's not clear, actually, from the words, I didn't think, is, you know, are the children all in bed? It's past 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the morning or the evening? Like, you just said it was 10, so that would make it clearer. But, like, he could be waking them up in the morning, couldn't he? He's out for a play. Where's everyone? Come and play with me. So I didn't get what was going on.
Well, he's in his nightgown, Ollie. So that's a hint that it's the night.
But he could have wandered out in his nightgown early in the morning, no?
The cat's asleep, the hen's asleep, the dog's asleep. It's just Wee Willie Winkie who's not asleep.
Right. Well, you see, you've added a second verse there. My book of nursery.
I haven't. It's a 5-verse thing.
Fine. Okay. I'm not. I didn't mean you invented the verse. I'm saying I don't have the second verse. I didn't know about the cat and the dog.
Yeah, well, there's plenty more evidence.
Fine. Tell me about it.
You're getting a non-canonical version, Ollie.
Fine.
Originally, it's 10.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if you want me to read all 5 verses of it.
Patreon.com/answer me this.
You know I would. But he's running around, he's making noise, he's wriggling, and then at the end, the last verse is about a weary mother dealing with her child battling with sleep.
Is there a thing where maybe Wee Willie Winkie was a naughty child that didn't sleep and now he's cursed to roam the earth forever, telling other children to sleep?
That would be the 10th century version. There were a lot of people cursed to roam the earth.
Right.
But in answer to this baby's questions, the character was not based on a real person. Wee Willie Winkie the poem was written by a cabinet maker named William Miller and first appeared in print in Scots language in a book called Whistle Binkie, Stories for the Fireside in 1841. And then an English version was published 3 years later. However, the first verse, the bit you read, I believe, appeared in an English poetry compilation in 1820. And William Miller can't have written that, or is very unlikely to, because he was only 10 at the time. So I wonder if he encountered that and then expanded it into the full Scots poem later. But the term Willie Winkie was kind of in the public imagination already, particularly in Scotland, because it was a nickname for King William III of England, II of Scotland. And it was this sardonic nickname for him in the late 1700s because the Scots really didn't like him. He had ordered the massacre of Glencoe to punish people who refused to make an oath of allegiance to him and his wife Mary as monarchs. He was also Protestant and the Jacobites wanted him out. He never went to Scotland.
But he wasn't an insomniac, crucially.
Did you do a lot of winking?
Maybe. I think they're just taking the piss out of him by calling him Willie Winkie. But I don't think this poem was about him dressing up in a nightgown running around town. I think it's just this term that people know already. And
then, of course, there's a direct line to Wicked Willie, the books of the 1980s.
God.
Do you remember those?
Yeah. Well, I'd blissfully forgotten until just now, so thanks.
I Googled it because I'd remembered it wrong.
Okay, so how had you remembered it?
So how I'd remembered it is from the merch. Mm-hmm. So in the 80s, and I remembered it because it was inappropriate. I mean, I remember being on holiday in tourist shops in places like Spain and Cyprus, and they'd be selling cock and balls with smiley faces on it stuff next to the toys for me when I was 8.
Right.
And I thought it was funny because it's a Willy, but now I think about it, it's a bit weird because the whole thing was kind of Wicked Willie's got a mind of his own. He'll stiffen of his own accord. That's what Wicked Willie is.
Right.
And he's never far from a pair of funny boobs. It's a bit weird for kids to have that, around.
Well, it wasn't aimed at them, was it?
Well, it was on the same shelf, though, in that Spanish way.
Okay.
Went on the continent. And I'd remembered it, as I said, as Penis and Balls, but I don't know if that wasn't like if that was rip-off merch, because I looked at Wicked Willy, and actually, interestingly, Wicked Willy is just a shaft.
Really? No balls?
There's no testicles at all, no balls at all. You know, he's up to no good all the time. Let me out. And actually quite an aggressive, kind of like an angry...
Well, he is wicked, remember?
Yeah. A thing I didn't know either is, have you heard of A Year in Provence?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Peter Mayle book. That was a very big hit in the 90s.
Correct.
I may even have read it and can't remember anything about it.
Right. Don't drink your tea whilst I'm saying this, because you might spit it out.
I'll put it down. Okay. Thank you for the warning.
Peter Mayle went to Provence with his Wicked Willy royalty money. He wrote Wicked Willy.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
He's Wicked Willy.
He's the Wicked Willy guy. He didn't illustrate it. So often, you know, when you say who wrote Wicked Willy, you get the name of the illustrator, but it was Peter Mayle's story.
I didn't realise there was much writing involved, but I suppose it is a literary adaptation.
Yeah. Exactly. So, anyway, that's what I learnt today.
That Peter Mayle wrote Wicked Willy.
Yeah.
And that's how he was able to buy a house in Provence and then make even more money. Wow, some people just have a knack.
Exactly, yeah. Out of such thin gruel, I've got a penis. I'm going to write a story about having a penis. Then I'm going to write a story about what it's like to have a house, and people are going to like that.
Yeah, you know, just look around and find inspiration in the quotidian.
Anywhere.
Wow.
He didn't even get round to writing one about his balls. I mean, that's what I mean. It's amazing.
That was going to be a separate spin-off. It was going to be the Better Call Saul of Wicked Willy.
Better Call Ball.
Better Call Ball. Thank you, Martin.
There we go. Yeah.
I've got a question. Then email your question to answermethispodcast@googlemail.com. 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 Answermethispodcast@googlemail.com.
Here's a question from Amy. Amy says, Ollie, answer me this. What was the point of the Wingding font? I saw there was a controversy about it, but dared not Google it further. Everyone just wants us to have the awful search history that they don't want.
Yeah,
Cowards.
I think we're too late to turn back on that road.
Just use incognito browsing. You don't have to write to us.
Let's put to one side the controversy. I'll get there. Wingdings, the font, available with Microsoft products from 1992 onwards, designed in 1990. I think the era kind of tells you what Wingdings is. It's early emoji, basically. I mean, it's a series of symbols that you can produce with your keyboards, knowing that throughout human history, since hieroglyphics, people have liked the idea of communicating in images rather than codex lettering, knowing it would be cool to get that onto a computer. But in an era, the early 90s, when the kind of thing we take for granted now was completely impossible to imagine. Something like copying and pasting from the internet like you do now when you see a symbol you like.
Even having the internet,
knowing what the internet was, having the download speeds to see the picture on the internet, all of that was years away. Even a simple icon of like an envelope, if you wanted to put an email address on some headed notepaper, to get that onto a floppy disk so that you could put it on your friend's computer would have been a trip, you know? You'd physically have to save it and move it around.
It would have been a 3-film journey like Lord of the Rings to get that thing on a floppy disk.
So this was a way of getting high-quality, scalable images that didn't clog up your hard drive onto everyone's computer.
Your 256-megabyte hard drive.
Yeah.
Time.
You put this language, bundle it in with the floppy disks that people are loading into their computer to put Word onto it anyway, and then one of the fonts is the vehicle for this new... I was going to say language, but it wasn't intended to be a language, and that's where the controversy is misplaced.
Oh, language controversy. I'm so tired.
Such a foreign subject to you, yeah. The whole controversy came from people treating it as if it were a language. Like, say, what happens if I type out these words? It wasn't. They had never occurred to the people who made Wingdings that that's what you do. What they thought you'd do is open your manual to Windows 95 and think, I've got a restaurant. How do I get a picture of a sausage? And you would say, page 96, images. And then you'd scroll down and say, press Control X, and I'll get a sausage if I choose Wingdings. They're not thinking you're going to spell out words. It wasn't semaphore. It was just a way of getting the images on there.
But you can't determine how people use your novelty typeface once it's out.
So, before I get to the controversy, let's just do some etymology, because you'll like this.
God, you teased this so much. Yes.
So any idea where wingding may have came from as a root?
I'm assuming the rhyme was attractive.
The win, I'll tell you, comes from Windows. So the wing bit is Microsoft.
And is the dings just so that it rhymes?
No, it has its origins in the phrase dingbat font, which was a thing before Wingdings. So a type of font that uses alphabetical or numerical characters and ornamental and typographical glyphs is called a dingbat font. And that comes from the printing press. Like, it's been there for hundreds of years. And it's for things like ornamental pieces to do title pages and contents and stuff like that. So it's not a letter. It's like, I want a frilly bit round the edge. That's a dingbat.
That's a dingbat.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that may have just been onomatopoeic. It might have been like some geezer who was like, oh yeah, pass the dingbat because it sounds funny. And it sounds a bit like the sound it might make when it hits the floor or something. But it could come from dingus, the Dutch word for thing. But anyway, dingbat is a thing with precedent. Wingdings is the Windows dingbat. There you go. Let's get on to the controversy.
Yay, controversy time.
Al-Qaeda. Oh, fuck. It's where things take a turn for the less fun. So, like I say, weirdos used to spell things out with Wingdings to see what it looked like and whether it had a secret message in it. Because long before COVID, people were certain that Bill Gates was trying to communicate some terrible message through his products. So, conspiracy theory number one emerged around about 1992, shortly after the release of Windows 3.1, when people noticed that when you spell out NYC, as in New York City, you get what the New York Post described salaciously as, quote, a secret anti-Semitic message apparently urging death to Jews in New York City.
What?
That would be a skull and crossbones is the N, a Star of David is the capital Y, and a thumbs up is the C. I mean, that's weak, isn't it?
That's unfortunate.
I mean, it could have just been a bagel with a thumbs down. And it have the similar fury.
I think if you were typing Jew and it was like bomb, skull and crossbones, that's more to that. But, NYC.
It's like when I typed cunt into Google Maps once and it just went to China.
Right. I mean, I typed in Ollie, by comparison, O-double-L-Y, obviously some of the same letters there. So that, in Wingdings capital letters, is a flag, 2 sad face emoji, and a Star of David.
Yikes!
Exactly, yeah. My surname is a bomb, peace fingers, skull and crossbones, skull and crossbones.
That's a very mixed message.
Yeah. So it seems fairly obvious that this was nonsense, but in this sort of early day of internet conspiracy theory, these things would travel for years because no one could instantly disprove them. People would put them in these massive group emails. You remember those that like your weird uncle would send you? So that went on for years. And then, of course, second controversy, number 2, 2001, shortly after the terror attacks on September the 11th. You were at peak mad uncle email time then. You've got this conspiracy already, NYC, death to Jews. And so people were like, look, this is what it is. And also look at this. How many random words were they typing into Wingdings to see what they got? Apparently, if you typed Q33NY into Wingdings.
So Queenie.
Yeah. So the spam weird uncle email said that Q33 was the flight number of the plane that crashed into the Twin Towers first.
Was it?
No. If you typed Q33NY into Wingdings, you got an aeroplane, 2 symbols that looked a bit like 2 towers, and then NY, which, as we've said before, is the skull and crossbones and the Star of David. So people are like, aha. I mean, what? Even if Bill Gates had planned 9/11, what?
Huge of tree.
It's a sophisticated plan. I mean, you can't summarize it as that, can you? Anyway, Q33 wasn't the flight number. That was a myth. And the graphics that supposedly were the North and South Tower of the Twin Towers were documents.
There's a thing, isn't there? Like when people who are having mental health breaks start to see patterns and everything. That's quite common with like kind of paranoid psychosis and stuff. Like, when you start to say, oh, the letterbox I walked past had, ZX371. That's, the name of my first computer. And then, you can look for patterns. People are very good at spotting patterns.
Yeah, and code is something, it is true, isn't it, that people that have secret agendas communicate in code. So I suppose Wingdings appearing to be a bit like a code you could crack, and computers being something that people kind of generally skeptical about, this thing that's arrived in every office, in every house. I think all of that combined to create this kind of paranoid. atmosphere. But it gets so ridiculous. Like after it's then disproven that Q33 was the plane number, you then get like, no, but the age of the first Al-Qaeda terrorist, he was 33. So it's about him.
And Q for Qaeda.
Yeah.
Oh, this is some Swifties level of Easter egging, isn't it?
yeah. And then someone said, no, it's the age Jesus was when he died. Like, again, Osama bin Laden's too busy to do a cryptic crossword about this.
Are there no more recent Wingdings conspiracies, or did the fact that Wingdings isn't such a feature anymore really ruin that whole trope?
It's gone.
Probably for the best.
But the font hasn't, pleasingly. There's now one called Webdings. Actually, when they released Webdings, Microsoft ensured then to try and nip this in the bud, but of course you can't, that if you were to type NYC into Webdings, you wouldn't get anything that could be interpreted as death to the Jews. So you now get an eye, a heart, and a city skyline. You know, like I heart NY.
Wow, they've erased the Jews from New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, that's worse anti-Semitism.
I mean, you can't win, can you? But it's like, at the same time, it's kind of like acknowledging that you can reverse engineer it that way isn't going to quieten the people that thought you'd engineered it that way in the first place. That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, if you've got to pick a lane, haven't you? Like either the symbols are not interpreted to be written as words, or oh yes, this was a terrible mistake, we should correct it. But like knowing that people are going to type in NYC to see what they get, that is problematic about what your intentions were before. And as per our Millennium Bug conversation last episode, there was a bit of paranoia about the word millennium as well as we went into this century.
Oh,
because
yeah?
it had a skull and crossbones and a bomb in it.
Maybe they should have put the skull and crossbones and bomb symbols on letters that were less frequently used.
Yes, I think that's probably right. Yeah, like a dash or something.
Yeah.
A plus.
Yeah, the little like squiggly thing.
You think of a tilde?
COVID-19.
Oh, shit.
Okay, it's a thumbs up.
Yeah. Plandemic, am I right?
A square, the Windows logo, some ancient Egyptian symbols that I vaguely recognise but aren't sure about, a folder, and a tape measure. It is all there.
It's as clear as day.
COVID came out of a Pharaoh's tomb. It's the curse of Tutankhamun coming back. And they tried to tell us.
Wake up, sheeple.
I'm trying to build a website to bring tourists to Radlit, but when I open it up on my smartphone or tablet, something goes wrong, and it just looks a bit shit. Unlike Hertfordshire itself.
Well, try building that website using Squarespace on desktop and devices. It will look simply ace, as well designed as Hertfordshire with all that lovely green space.
County of Opportunity and Stevenage.
Thank you very much to Squarespace for sponsoring Answer Me This. And thanks to you if you've ever used the code ANSWER when you've been signing up to Squarespace.
As indeed a questionnaire who wants to remain anonymous in case his boss listens says, I've been listening to your podcast for as long as I remember. In school on my iPod Nano when people genuinely didn't have a clue what a podcast was, and now every bellend seems to have one.
Yeah, tell me about it, Anon.
I am now a website designer by profession. Anytime I get a client that just needs something quick and easy rather than bespoke, I whip up a Squarespace website for them and throw them your podcast discount code ANSWER.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I will have given you around 50 referrals by now.
Shit.
But does it actually help you?
Yes, because it tells Squarespace to carry on sponsoring the podcast. So it helps us a lot. They've got a lot of options.
To talk a little inside ice hockey here, we're not on a pay-per-click deal. Each additional time you type it, we don't get money per se. But that is because Squarespace give us a generous sponsorship based on whether enough of you click in the first place. So yes, it helps support not only this show, but other independent podcasts as well, to show that there is an audience out there that will listen and follow through.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, if you want some of this sweet, sweet Squarespace for yourself, you can use the 2-week free trial if you go to squarespace.com/answer.
And when you're ready to launch, get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using our code ANSWER. Time for a question of birds now from Rachel, who says, my question is about the green parakeets that seem to inhabit every London park. I like them, but my father-in-law hates them because they apparently murder native birds. Have you heard this? They're apparently a menace. They're the squirrels of the sky.
Yes, I have heard this. But I think that's always the case about invasive species, is people are like, oh, it's murdering the native bluebells, the native bees.
Yeah, I had no idea there were this many parakeets that it was a problem. Whenever I spot them, I think, oh, how exotic. But apparently there are loads of them. So the question is, Helen, answer me this. Where did they originally come from? I've seen lots of varying claims on Reddit posts, from Jimi Hendrix releasing them to them escaping from the set of Tarzan. The African Queen is the one that I've read.
Yeah.
I'd love to get to the bottom of it, says Rachel.
I just think you need to prepare, Rachel, for not getting to the bottom of it, because there's so many bullshit explanations. The explanations that I've heard the longest are that they were escaped pets from Orpington in southeast London.
That sounds like a region-specific one to you growing up seeing parakeets.
No, well, I didn't see them when I was growing up until I moved to London, but the populations of the parakeets were concentrated around southeast London and North Kent, which makes it plausible because that is where most of them were for a while. And the other explanation that is repeated so much but has certainly not the ring of truth is Jimi Hendrix releasing a pair of them in 1968. What? Why? Why Hendrix? Why would he have parakeets? Why would he release?
Because they were lovebirds. I don't know, and it's like the era of that kind of Carnaby Street love and peace.
Sure.
It mystifies me when people compare them to pigeons. I know that they make mess and eat shit, but they're just, whenever I see them, I feel lucky to have seen them.
Yes.
I take pictures of them. When they land in my garden, I'm excited.
Yes, we used to have a lot of them on our windowsills in South London.
It is a bit sad that they're killing off the robins and stuff, but at the same time, I just think they're very beautiful, and it's impressive that they can survive in the English climate because they're from India.
They're from like North Africa and the Indian subcontinent. And there was a population boom of them in the 90s, which I don't know whether that was because the weather got noticeably warmer or if they just managed to bully enough local birds to really claim their patch. Okay, so the most plausible explanation to me is that because these birds were not uncommon as exotic pets in England from like mid to late 1800s.
Yes.
And I think that means you could have several escapees and several small populations growing gradually. And that means after a few decades, suddenly you're like, oh, actually, there's quite a lot of these birds. Like by the 1980s. I think in the early 80s, there were 1,000 and now there are at least 30,000. So the population has really boomed since then.
Yeah, I've seen estimates of 50,000.
Could well be.
And I've seen academics that have studied them say they have good genes, apparently, i.e., they're not inbred, they're from a wide pool. So that would go more along with your theory that for 100 years, occasionally they've escaped and then mingled with the ones that currently existed, than that there was just one instant that caused them all to escape and they're all from, Jimi Hendrix's Adam and Eve.
Or The African Queen, a film in which this kind of parakeet does not appear, so why did they have them on set?
Someone who was curating the Cheltenham Science Festival a few years ago, there were a few press stories about how she'd said that her dad apparently lived in Isleworth and that was next to the studio where they filmed The African Queen. And she does remember, contemporaneous with The African Queen wrapping, that within 2 years her dad was feeding parakeets in the garden. And she says she thinks that it was those parakeets that went on to be the progenitors of all these others.
Hannah Ayub said that.
There you go.
She's a science communicator and very good illustrator.
Good knowledge.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, I don't know how accurately you're going to remember those things, though, right?
I think a narrative forms and then slightly obscures the facts, but also it could be incidental to the African Queen because that's also a time when the populations of these birds is steadily rising.
That story gets exaggerated in the retelling, doesn't it?
Anyway, should they be culled? People think they should be culled because there's too many of them.
No, they're so cute. They're so beautiful.
They're the squawky squadrons that invaded our skies, Martin, according to the Telegraph headline.
Bird's going to squawk. What are you going to do?
They have refused culls so far. I feel like Britain has some dangerous sentiments towards immigrants generally, but they're probably going to be kinder about the bird ones than the human ones. Here's another London question from a Swedish person who says, at the end of July, my friend and I are planning a short trip to London because I want to see the Frida Kahlo exhibition at Tate Modern, and I've managed to rope in my friend to join me. We've both been before, and London is certainly not my favourite city as I hate crowds. But I remember the episode where you advised someone on how to spend a hungover day in London, and it was very enlightening. I don't remember that, but I wonder what we said.
I think that was when I suggested going up Monument because no one ever goes up Monument.
With a hangover, that's so many stairs.
Vomiting off the top of Monument.
So we are excited to go to London together, says a Swedish person, but we're both adamant on avoiding the subway because it's a crammed sweat lounge.
Well, good, because the subway's in New York, so you're not going to get anywhere near it.
Yeah.
They mean the tube, of course.
Yes. Ollie, answer me this. What should we go and see that does not require going on the tube? What area is best to stay in if we want to get around easily but refuse the tube? And lastly, how does one survive London in July?
Okay. I think the fact that you're Swedish and you're saying how do you survive suggests if you don't like sweaty, boxy underground trains that you're concerned about heat, which is a hard thing to get my head into at the moment because, you know, it is grey and dismal and freezing cold. But I do understand that some people might find London in July a little bit much.
It can be very sweaty, but it can also be really cold and wet. So prepare for everything.
Exactly. Your information on the tube is a bit outdated in the sense that the Elizabeth line, the more recent tube line, is fully air conditioned. So there's that.
Also, I tend to find going on the tube outside of rush hour is mostly fine, but I've never lived on the tube, so there's loads of ways you don't have to go on it. There's an extensive network of overground trains. I'd stay somewhere on the Thameslink line. Because that one is a gem. And then it links you to lots of other lines or walkable bits of central London.
Yes. Well, so I live on the Thameslink line.
Yeah, it's a classic.
The stop for Tate Modern is London Blackfriars, which, by the way, is a beautiful station, like architecturally beautiful station because it's on the bridge.
You can get off either side of the river. Ingenious.
It's good. And you get a view, literally, the view from the station is like the postcard view of London that you want. You know, you can see the Tower of London, you can see Canary Wharf, you can see the Shard. Yep. You don't really need to leave from there. But anyway, if you do get off the train and walk to the Tate Modern to the exhibition, I would say where you happen to be going anyway, that stretch between, let's say, London Bridge and Waterloo Bridge, that's a day for people that don't know London, walking along there and looking at everything, and you don't need to get on a tube at all at any point.
Gorgeous day strolling along the South Bank.
If the river's low, you can walk along the Thames Beach a little bit, which is also pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, London is a great walking city, and lots of the places you'll stay, you'll be able to walk, get a bus, get an overground train, get a tube outside of busy time.
Yeah, but also when you're on the South Bank, get the boat.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Transport for London state-funded riverboat, and you can use your credit card to tap in and out. Get on the boat. And, you know, then you get a bit of wind through your hair. It goes under Tower Bridge.
Yeah, goes to Greenwich. That's got a big hill. That's fun to look at the rest of London on, get some breeze.
Yeah, I mean, any outdoor parky bit. Hampstead Heath, that's a good place to walk in July.
Crystal Palace, that's on the overground, right to the park.
Go and visit AMT Towers.
Victorian dinosaurs.
Itinerary for everyone.
My survival for London in July is thin layers of clothing because you can get so many weathers on the same day. Hot, cold, sweaty, sticky, rainy, sometimes hail. If it is hot, my two tools of choice are a hand fan and a water bottle that you fill like 2/3 full, put in the freezer the night before, facing upwards, so that the next day you can put a little bit of water in the top so you've got some cold water to drink, and then you can roll it on your face and your neck. That makes it a bit cooler, and your wrists, and also you've got cold water through the day as it slowly defrosts.
Very good. I mean, you know my devotion to the Yeti Cup range of products.
I do.
So obviously I have access to cool water whenever needed. But I understand, you know, those who don't wish to splash out on the luxury products that I fill my life with might want to benefit from your tip.
Yes. Well, also, if you want something cold to touch, then the Yeti Cup is leaving you unlucky.
Yeah, deliberately so. Andy on Patreon has a question about something you might eat when you're in London.
You might.
Helen, answer me this. Why is the BLT the only sandwich with an acronym?
I'd say, Andy, why is it a sandwich that has both its own month, April, and its own day, 22nd of July? That's greedy. Why do you need a month and a day?
I don't understand.
There is BLT month. The month of April is BLT,
right.
like National BLT month.
Oh, it needs a day and a month. I'm sorry, I had no idea. You're educated.
It has a day, the 22nd of July.
Well, it doesn't need both,
no,
obviously.
I'd say a day is max it needs. A month? Don't be silly.
The Holocaust only gets a week.
Yeah, Black History Month gets the shortest month. BLT gets 2 more fucking days.
I mean, in BLT month, do you eat a BLT every day? Is that the idea?
It's mandatory.
We should point out, I mean, some listeners won't know that BLT stands for bacon, lettuce and tomato. Mm-hmm. You were saying to me the other day, you've seen a blap or a blat?
Blat. Blat, bacon, lettuce, avocado and tomato. There's also the belt, bacon, egg, lettuce, tomato.
Right.
The blast, bacon, lettuce, avocado, sprouts, tomato.
And that is appropriately named.
In The Princess Bride, you've got the MLT, the mutton, lettuce, tomato.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're going to some fairly obscure examples now. I mean, I suppose what he's saying is popularly
PB&J.
PB&J, yeah.
The PBJ, yes. Marsha on Patreon did actually point that PBJ is also in use in response to Andy's question. That is true.
Didn't we used to have a showbiz agent, PBJ?
We were represented by PBJ management for a time, yes, in the loosest sense of the word. Our photos were on their website, yeah.
Yeah, wow. There's the bacon, egg and cheese, the BEC. I think that's a particularly New Yorkie sandwich, though.
I did used to go to a Greasy Spoon for my lunch every day when we worked in Waterloo, Helen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I used to get myself a CCM, they called it. Now, I think about it, it should have been CSM because it was chicken, sweet corn and mayo.
Right.
I suppose it was chicken, corn and mayo. They were trying to go for CCM as the acronym, like it said that on the sign. You had to order it. You wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah, but the BLT, I think, often contains mayo that is not remarked upon by the acronym.
You don't list butter. You don't list salt and pepper. You don't
list the bread.
Exactly. I think that's all right.
So I think they were pushing it with the CMM.
Well, I think there's a problem as well when they have a menu of club sandwiches. You know, so I feel like the club sandwich is chicken, bacon, the third slice of bread. That's the essential ingredients, I'd say. But now you get this thing where, you know, in sort of, I don't know, hipster joints, they're like, do you want to see our menu of Benedicts? That kind of place. You'll get a thing where it's like, do you want to see our menu of clubs? And actually some of the clubs are dangerously close to a BLT, I think.
Well, the BLT evolved out of the club.
Okay.
Because it is basically a club without the poultry. A reason why sandwiches with acronyms are uncommon is because they're just not that practical, right? Because the BLT evolved out the club, which got popular in the late 1800s. That and the BLT became more popular in the USA in the early 20th century with train travel. I think that was just quite a common thing to serve on a train. And there are recipes around for it in cookbooks from that late 19th, early 20th century period. So it had been around for a bit. The abbreviation is thought to have come up in diners in the US in the 1940s, people taking the order, shouting back to the kitchen, BLT. Like they had a lot of slang about different sandwiches and different drinks and stuff that you could order in a diner. But even though it had been around for that long, in print, they were still having to explain what they meant by BLT in the 60s and 70s. So they could say BLT and then have to point out bacon, lettuce, tomato, which really removes the convenience of the acronym. So I think that's probably why. If you use an acronym or an abbreviation or an initialism, because people are like, that's not an acronym, so it doesn't spell out a word. It's just...
It needs to become iconic before you can rely on it being understood.
And it's taken that long because these aren't intuitive enough.
I know Subway... They have a BMT, which stands for biggest, meatiest, tastiest.
Oh, piss off.
That doesn't even have a noun in it. Oh, I suppose if it's BMT sandwich.
Yeah. Well, exactly. So but the point is it has to spell out what it... Like, no one has ever said, I'll have a BMT. They have to go in there and look at the menu and it says in brackets afterwards what's in it.
Right.
Spicy pepperoni, Genoa salami and Black Forest ham. Ugh.
They can't call it an MRM for mechanically reclaimed meat sandwich. That would be more honest, though.
That would be good.
If anyone writes in to say that club sandwich is an acronym for chicken and lettuce under bacon, fire yourself into the fucking sun. That is obvious bullshit.
Right, okay.
It's a popular bullshit, but it's bullshit. Just like the BLT is not named after a writer for the Chicago Tribune, Bert L. Taylor, who died 20 years before the BLT.
I can't believe that no one thought to make a bacon salad sandwich before the BLT.
Exactly. As the show's resident mayo expert, I feel compelled to say at this point as well that the abbreviation of mayo, that is something that I did not use in the 1980s growing up in Britain. I'd never heard anyone say mayo until about 1999.
Again, because people had to know what it was.
American, yeah.
And they were still getting used to it in the 80s.
In Britain, if you said mayonnaise, they probably thought you meant salad cream in at least half the country. So, I mean, it was a battle on your hands anyway just to get the stuff.
How you suffered.
Helen, Oliver, though life is full of questions, there are answers you must know. 1. No, it will not fall off, but moderation in all things. 2. Yes, there probably is, but we won't find out in our lifetimes. 3. Most people prefer Connery, but my personal favorite is Dalton. 4. If you try and slip a 1, it would ruin your friendship. Yes.
Here's a question from Jay in Minnesota who says, I've been doing prep for donating a kidney.
Wow.
I'm super excited. It feels like a really good and valuable thing to do. I think we're going to agree it's a valuable thing to donate a kidney, but it's complex, this. Mm-hmm. The transplant hospital has run a whole gamut of tests to ensure that I'm healthy enough and all looks good.
Yeah.
Although the hospital has invested quite a bit of time and money in this donation, they have repeatedly emphasised that I can change my mind about the donation at any stage with no ill will.
Yeah.
My wife has a lot of trepidation. Statistically, there's about a 1 in 1,000 chance of serious negative repercussions, aside from the 2 to 6 weeks of general post-op misery. She doesn't want to be the one standing between me and this donation. She knows it's very important to me, so she's not going to explicitly ask me not to do it, but the doctor's statistics aren't reassuring her.
Okay.
So, Helen, answer me this. How do I balance her fears with my desire to make a donation that drastically improves someone's life?
Wow.
Yeah.
And the transplant team don't have suggestions for this, because this must happen a lot. Like, they must need to reassure people plenty.
Every donor's family would say, are you sure you're going to be all right?
Will this kill you?
And is this dangerous? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you definitely not need this down the line? Statistics don't generally sway people about something that is very emotional. Fearing that your partner's going to die is obviously very emotional. So you've got to find something that is appealing to her feelings.
I had no idea that altruistic kidney donation was a thing, by the way. I knew that you could do it for someone you know.
Jesse Eisenberg's doing it, Ollie.
For someone he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So I thought doctors go looking for matches. I didn't know that you could just say, yeah, I don't need 2, take 1, and someone might need it.
Yeah.
That's an astonishing thing to do. But looking into it, well, here in the UK, the NHS will only take your kidney if they are satisfied that your long-term health isn't going to be negatively impacted.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure, actually, in the private system in the US, in a way, the stakes are larger, because you can sue a doctor who removes your kidney having told you that you're going to have no long-term repercussions. If they're telling you you have no long-term repercussions, it should be fine. Mm-hmm. That is the information you do present your wife with, isn't it? Yes, there's a tiny... I know what she's seen some risk and is worried, but they have done all the tests. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't let me do it unless they thought it was going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that would be reassuring if you're someone who's reassured by facts, but it seems like that is not where she's at.
Mm.
So what would you say to her to get her in the feelings? Martin, how could I reassure you that my kidney was...
It's a good thing to do, but if I were against it, I would say something like, you're taking a risk for someone that you don't know and haven't even met, and why take that risk? Like, even if it's a small chance of this having adverse effects, why would you take that risk? Why go in for surgery when you don't absolutely have to? I think, honestly, I wouldn't want to discourage you if that was something that you felt like you wanted to do. I would probably bite my tongue and be a bit worried. But I think most people feel that way about a loved one.
Because it sounds like it's very important to Jay to do it. So they've already had that conversation. Why do you want to do it? Because they think it's really important that someone else gets a kidney that they need. And also, Martin, you don't even really like it when I donate blood.
Well, I don't like it when you donate blood and then go for physiotherapy and pass out. That's the part I'm not a fan of.
One time.
I guess you could red nose day it, couldn't you? And roll VT. Do you know? You can be like, well, look, yeah, these are the people that I'm helping.
Yeah.
You heartless bitch. Look at how they're suffering.
Well, it's just a montage of slow-mo person with kidney donation frolicking with a golden retriever, that kind of thing.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, that's partly, like, I think you have a couple of things in the back of your head if you're the spouse. You're thinking, what if I need that kidney? What if one of your close relatives needs that kidney in the future and you've given it away? What if you need that kidney in the future because now you've only got one left and you're going to have a risk as a result of that?
Yeah.
But also, you are going to be thinking, I mean, you shouldn't, but you are going to be thinking in a way that you don't when you give blood because it's so universal. Kind of thinking, what if the guy you give it to is just a wanker?
I do think that when I give blood. I'm like, what if they give my blood to Nigel Farage?
No, I think with blood it's different because it's such a... I don't know why. I suppose it's just that little bit more... it's less personal. Because there's this whole thing, isn't there, like where the recipient chooses in the US, I believe, whether or not to reach out to the donor.
Okay.
So the recipient can say, I would like to meet the donor. And then if the donor has said, yes, I would like to meet the recipient, then they can meet. But if the recipient doesn't want to do that, you'll never know.
If they're a wanker.
If the recipient does want to do that and then you go and meet them and they're a wanker, I would feel like I'd wasted...
Do wankers deserve to die, Ollie?
No, but they don't deserve my kidney.
I mean, maybe.
Like, my kidney should have gone to someone I like.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not altruism, is it? That's not charity.
It's the risk that you take. Maybe that is Jay's spouse's concern.
Mm.
What if the kidney ends up inside a wanker?
Yeah.
But listeners, if you have ideas for how Jay can reassure their wife, your advice would be gratefully received. Perhaps you've done this, or perhaps your partner has, or another loved one. How did they reassure you? So send that, but also send your questions for future episodes of Answer Me This via the usual contact details, which are present on our website.
AnswerMeThisPodcast.com. Don't send your kidneys to us. We have no use for them.
Well, also because we don't have a PO box anymore.
But if you are the kind of person who altruistically likes to donate things, one of the reasons to visit patreon.com/answermethis is to support us. I'm not making a direct comparison with donating a life-saving organ, but I am saying...
No, it's far, far more important than doing that.
But I'm just saying, if you're that kind of person, you're not ready to do the kidney...
Or you've already done it.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's all on the same road of generosity. So thank you if you'd like to support this show with your lifeblood.
Yes.
At patreon.com/answermethis.
Yes, don't send us blood either, though.
But also, because capitalism, you get shit in return. Members of the Questionnaire tier get to watch our live streams and listen ad-free to new episodes and bonus bits. Members of our 4-star hotel tier unlock an ad-free version of our podcast on their podcast app, including all our albums, retro episodes, and bonus bits. And members of Soundbag, the creme de la creme, the VIPs, the ballers, the Wicked Willies, they get all of that. But their feed also includes every fucking thing we have ever recorded. I think it's now 700 bits of audio.
Fuck me, that's so many bits.
It's the fuck me tier, including our first 200 episodes, themselves worth £200 when purchased separately. So it's a good deal as well as a good thing to do.
You made a persuasive case.
Thank you.
Ollie.
I'm going to go there. Sign up right now. What was that web address again?
It's patreon.com/answermethis. Anyway, hundreds of Answer Me This is aside, we have other work on the internet. Helen,
yeah, apparently.
What do you have in store for people?
Well, at theillusionist.org and in the pod feeds, there is a recent episode called Cosmic Hairball, which is a fun little musical tour of space language featuring Martin singing some songs that I made him sing.
Great.
I'm really disappointed that you didn't call the episode Space Milk, which was the working title for it.
I didn't call it Space Milk because I told some Illusionist listeners I was going to call it Space Milk, and they were like, no such thing as a fish just did an episode called Space Eggs. And I was like, I can't participate in a sort of space breakfast themed podcast thing.
Could have had a whole space kitchen.
I wonder if Space ever considered doing an album called Space Milk.
But I did see Space perform in 1999 at a ball at Durham University, and
Fantastic.
They fully did not give a fucking shit. I don't think they'd been drinking milk that day, Ollie.
No. Ask me what's coming up on The Modern Man, Helen.
Oh, what's coming up on The Modern Man, Ollie?
Oh, thanks for asking. In the February edition of The Modern Man, my monthly magazine show, we try vibe coding. That is when you program an app using just AI prompts. Scary.
Jesus Christ.
We talk about sex when you have a UTI.
Ow. And
I meet a Londoner who survived an earthquake in Morocco. He spent 6 hours buried in the rubble. The episode is called Trapped in the Rubble. And it's an extraordinary first-hand tale about, survival and recovery and why you should always have travel insurance.
Yeah.
You can find that at modernmanwith2ns.co.uk.
What an incredible mix of topics.
Thank you. Martin.
I've got a new song out.
Oh.
It's a dance floor banger. It's called Daddy Really Cares.
Oh, yeah. It is an actual banger.
It's got a really cool music video. And if you go to martinaustwick.bandcamp.com and buy it, I will be donating all of the money I make from it to charities and organisations which support trans youth in Canada and the UK. So please do that.
Is there a way to sample it for free?
We'll put a link to the YouTube video.
Okay.
Oh, the video is really, really good. So
good.
You should watch that anyway, even if you own the song through money. You'll be singing this number until, till the end of time. It's that catchy.
I look forward to investigating it myself. Well, that's plenty for you to do. Do send us questions, though. That's the main thing. And feedback, because we have Answer Us back halfway through the month. And then the next fresh episode of Answer Me This will be in your pod feed on the last Thursday of March. Bye!